Hey guys, it's Nighthawk here, and welcome back to another Geometry Dash video. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of a tutorial video on the level Supersonic. This is my most recent hard demon completion, my hardest demon completion actually, and I thought I would just make a tutorial on it. I've actually wanted to do this for a while, but I wanted to wait till I'd actually beaten the level first until I actually talked about it and, gave tips on it. So I thought I would just, go through the level, kind of explain some things, because I've seen some people talk about this level before, and I think a lot of people talk about it really wrong, give bad advice. So I thought, you know what, I'll just make a video myself and kind of explain what I think is the best way to go about this level, and what I think the best way to do each individual part. It is worth noting that there are a couple bugs in this level. Namely, there's one at Databro and then one at Invasium, I mean, and they can be kind of annoying. They don't prevent you from beating the level, but they can occasionally kill you for just no reason, and it's just annoying to deal with. They don't happen all the time. It is possible to beat this level and just put out with the bugs. However, I would advise not doing that and just beating it uncopyable if you're on 144 Hz or above. That's, I think, the point where they start becoming a problem. So at least that's what I did. I beat it on a copy, and then just used hacks to complete this version. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so as for glitter shrooms part, this part is really straightforward. You're not gonna die here a whole lot, even if you're like really bad at ship like I am. You're still not gonna die here a lot, just because you're gonna be here so often that you're just naturally going to develop muscle memory for it. One advice I can give, however, I know, like, you notice here, like, I'm clicking really fast and just doing, like, really high CPS. However, if you're on, like, 60 Hz or something, do not be afraid to just do even clicks like this. Like, I know I'm, like, pretty bad with shit, but the only reason I'm able to get away with straight flying like this is because of the fact that I am on 240. However, if you're playing on, like, 60 Hz, or if you're just, like, not good with shit, I would say just don't be afraid to, like, resort to just doing longer but even clicks, and it won't really make that much of a difference. You'll still be able to get through it pretty easily. The only real hard click is the one where you have to go for the, that coin right there. That is really the only tough click in the entire level, or at least the entire part, I mean, and, it can be tough because, for one, it's hard. It can be a little hard to set up. Like, you do have to set it up properly. Like, you do have to, like, click as soon as you enter this portal. Like, if you go too late, then you'll miss the coin. But if you go, like, however, you don't want to go too low. So I would say as soon as you get into the portal, I would say just go down as soon as you get into the portal. And you want to click the orb like really late, but not too late. Which, I mean, you get quite a bit of room here. You get quite a bit of wiggle room, I won't lie. You probably won't have too much of an issue, even if you, like, because there's a lot of room here. It's not that tight of a gap. Especially after hitting this orb, you probably won't have an issue if you micro-click it. If you hit it too hard, you'll just get sent flying in the spike. So just make sure to hit kind of low, and don't hit it too hard, or else it just sent flying into the spikes. As for Jacer is like really easy as well. I think it's another example. It's like Glitter Shrim's part, but it's wave based instead of ship based. Like it's just a matter of like you're not gonna die here too much, even if you're like not good at wave. You're just gonna be here so often that it's just gonna be muscle memory. Even just that fake there, it's just gonna be muscle memory. As for this transition here, this is the second worst transition in the entire level. I think we all know what the worst transition is, but I'll get to that when we get to it. Have a set number of clicks that you always do here. Do not deviate from it. Just do, in my case, I did 1 to get up here, and then I would do 2 more just to get into the portal. And I would advise against holding up into the portal. Like, if you're gonna transition here, I would say go down so that you don't mess with your UFO click pattern. As for the UFO, it's a pretty straightforward UFO. I mean, you do have to memorize it. You have to kind of memorize the click pattern. However, it's a pretty straightforward UFO, and you probably won't die here a whole lot. You just have to memorize the click pattern for it, and you should be good to go. As for the click pattern I use, it's 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3. I know this isn't the pattern that most people use. It's like close. Like, I know most people do it slightly differently than I do. Like, I think most people 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm not even sure. It's like 1, 2. Hang on. 1, 2, 1, 2. No, they don't do it that fast. 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 3. Or some people will just do 4 clicks just to be safe, because it does set you up really weird. So some people just do 4 clicks instead, because it might be easier. However, I was doing it this way for so long that by the time I discovered this click pattern, I was like, I'm not wasting my time trying to readjust my muscle memory just to fix that. Because I think I'd already had like 95 on it at this point, so there was just no point in fixing my click pattern for it. As for Samsar, Samsar part is literally free. You'll basically never die here. If you can't do Samsar's part, I don't think you should be trying to be Supersonic, to say the least. Or it is worth noting, this jump here is literally a buffer. You can get away with buffer clicking this jump here. I'm not even joking. You can actually straight up just buffer this jump. Obviously you don't want to, like, jump out of the corridor, but as soon as you land, you can just straight up jump as soon as you land, and it's not an issue. So just don't be afraid to buffer this jump. Don't overestimate this quad spike, which isn't even a full quad spike. And then the rest of Samsara is pretty straightforward. Just some interesting timings. However, one thing I want to note, I've seen way too many people talk about this ball, and they say like some of these orbs you can't buffer them, or else you'll have the wrong momentum with this slope. However, I never really had that issue. With just buffering all of the orbs. Like, as you can tell, like, it's kind of blatantly obvious the fact that I do in fact buffer that orb right there. I mean, you can really tell that I just sort of buffered it. However, I do in fact buffer these 2 orbs as well, and it's not really an issue. I don't know if it's just a refresh rate thing, because I know, in Eric Van Wilderman's video on Supersonic, like, years ago, he said, you had to time this orb like slightly late, or else it with bad momentum on the slope. However, that was when he was also playing on 144 Hz. I think that also was during update 2.0. So I don't think that. I think it's just a refresh rate thing, or maybe it was just a thing with the slope physics that changed. I have no idea. But I never really had an issue with buffering these orbs. As for these ball clicks, these can be really weird at first, because of the fact that they require such weird timing. You have to do all those orbs, you have to do like weirdly late clicks for all of them. So I would say obviously you can't go too late, or else it's happened to me. It happened to me like I don't know how many times where I would hit this too late, and then I physically would not be able to click fast enough to get to the top to do my clicks in that corridor. I don't know if it was just the fact that I wasn't buffering it, but I think, I'm not sure. But I think it had something to do with the fact that I was hitting the orbs too late, and it was just sending me in the wrong way, and I was not able to click in time to avoid this spike. So I would say just hit all these orbs late. As for these 4 clicks, these are weird, because you can't just spam here because of this big spike here that's just being a pain in the butt. So, if you go like 1, 2, 1, 2, you have to go like really fast. 1, 2, hang on, 1, 2, 1, 2, and you have to do like a delay between the 2 double clicks. So 1, 2, hang on, 1, 2, 1, 2. So, you have to do like a slight delay because of the spike, but it's not really that hard. I know I struggled with it for a while, but it's not really that hard. As for the wave, it's not really. It's just a matter of brute force wave skill. There's not really much advice I can give on this. Actually, there is one piece of advice I forgot. Do not spam here at all throughout this entire part, except for one spot. There's only one spot where you spam. That's the part you just saw. Other than that, do not spam in this level. It is a waste of time. Just do long strokes with the wave. Do not bother spamming. It's a waste of time. There's only one spot where you can spam. It's the part you just saw. This part here, where I do 2 clicks and then I just fall here. Other than that, you do not want to spam. It just makes the part more inconsistent, and it's just not worth your time to do it. Do not spam at all. It's not worth it. It's tempting, especially with this like wide open space. Like if you decide not to go for the coin, I think it can be really tempting to just like spam there, especially if you're not going for the coin. However, I would advise against doing that. I mean, I also went for the coin, so I mean, it's not. I don't really know how much of an issue it is to spam here, but I know for a fact that everywhere else, it's just not worth it to spam. Now this is where we start getting to buggy territory. This click here, this jump, it's not like impossible to make this jump. Like it's not fully bugged. However, there are occasionally times where you will just jump this height, and you'll be sent flying into that saw. In fact, let's actually take a look at the hitboxes just to show. Like, this gets dangerously close. Like, you get dangerously close there most of the time. And if you hit it too early, then you'll actually get sent flying straight into the saw. If you jump the triple too early, you'll jump the triple, but you'll get, yeah, see, that can happen. If you're playing on, I think it's 144 hertz or above, you will basically occasionally, it doesn't happen too often. I mean, again, it does require you to jump very, very early on this triple, but it's still annoying when it does happen because the previous parts weren't really that difficult, and Data Pro's part is, in my opinion, the biggest choke point in the entire level, and that's doesn't really matter whether you're a ship or a wave player. It's still going to be a choke point regardless. So I would say this is this isn't the main bug that's an issue. It's the second bug that's even more of a problem. This one just happens occasionally, but it's still annoying. But even this one isn't as big of an issue compared to the other one. But we'll get to that. As for this ship, it's really easy. Even again, like if you need to, don't feel the need to just stray fly with a high CPS. Just you can do nice even clicks. Are a bit longer, but aren't outrageously fast. As for this ship, this for me felt like the biggest choke point of the entire level, and that's even including the G-Boy transition, purely because of the fact that I suck at ship. And if you suck at ship, this is going to be very hard. Even if it's not a bigger choke point than G-Boy, this is still going to be a tough choke point. And I would advise, if ship is not your game mode, if you're not as good with ship, get a click pattern for this part. It is pretty much crucial. Like if you're decent at ship, you should be able to get through this without much of a hassle. You might not have to learn a click pattern for this. However, I would advise if you're not good with ship, get a click pattern for this part. Just do the same number of clicks every single time. Don't deviate. So in my case, I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. And that fifth click was also a hold, so just be aware of that. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4. I did it wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. As for this wave, I mean, it's just wave skill. I mean, there's not really much else to say about it. Other than the fact that these two clicks here, this click here and this release can be really weirdly timed. Like the timing is a lot weirder than it looks. Like it looks like you can go a lot earlier than you actually can, or a lot later. It's a weird timing, and you do have to kind of just get used to it. I mean, the first one isn't, the click isn't as bad because I mean you're kind of just there with the portal, and you just click when you enter the portal, so it's not as hard. But then that release can be really weird. Like, you know, I just barely grazed those saws there. But yeah, you don't want to mess up this right here. This is probably the hardest part of the wave right there, is that release. But if you're decent at wave, you probably won't struggle too much with it. And again, I'd say data pro is the biggest choke point, whether you're good at ship or whether you're good at wave, because this is actually a pretty tight wave gap. It's not that bad. But if you're not good with wave, if wave is one of your weaker game modes, then you might struggle a lot with this. I don't know. But I would say just learn how to do it. As for this ship, it's not really that hard. You do have to know how to transition into it right. And now here, I think most people know about this bug here that happens when you just straight up miss this platform. And again, it's only an issue on higher refresh rate. Like, if you're playing on 60 Hz, like, it's not an issue. However, if you're playing on high refresh rate, it is a constant problem you have to deal with, and this is the main reason why I would recommend just playing on a copy if you're playing on high refresh rate, is because of the fact that this bug is just so annoying to deal with. It is possible to consistently get around the bug, but it's just so annoying. Like you have to do this. You have to enter this portal in such a specific way. Like, I think you have to like enter it like higher up or something. I'm not sure exactly, but that was the way I did it for a while, and that's the way I did it for a while. However, it's not really that consistent either way, so I would advise just getting it a copy. Just get a copy of this level. As for this duel, alright, now that I'm in properly, this duel is the main reason that I wanted to talk about this level and make a tutorial for it, because so many people explain this part totally wrong, and it actually aggravates me when people do this. So, first of all, you want to hold for these first few jumps. Just hold, it's not that big of an issue. However, you'll notice from my click counter, I did one click, and I just held throughout this entire thing. You notice it's still green. I held throughout this entire thing, and it still works. And so many people, I can't tell you how many people tell you need to rebuffer your click for this pink orb. You do not. You do not need to rebuffer your click for this pink orb. Reason being, those two orbs are being hit by two different icons. If you actually look at it here, you notice this one hits the blue orb, flies down, and jumps and hits these pads, whereas this one goes up and hits the pink orb. So you can literally just hold. I mean, you have to rebuffer. Like, you hold these two jumps, but then you do have to rebuffer in order to hit this blue orb. Because if you just hold throughout the entire thing, you're just not. It's just not gonna work. Yeah, you do have to rebuffer once you get to the blue orb. However, you do not have to rebuffer for the pink orb, and it genuinely frustrates me when people are like, yeah, just rebuffer for the pink orb. And I know it's still easy, like, even if you rebuffer the pink, it's still easy, but it's even easier when you know you can just hold throughout the entire thing. And including this jump here, you can just jump into these portals, and it's not a problem. As for those blue orbs, you do have to hit both of them. It's just inevitable. You do have to hit both of them. And then for this yellow orb and this pink orb, do not hit this pink orb, or you'll get sent flying in. So what you have to do is you have to hold your way through, in order to jump, in a way that actually works. Because you do have to jump up here as well. However, if you rebuffer your click for this orb, you'll just get sent flying into this wall here. So you do have to actually just hold your way through this pink orb and just skip it entirely. Now, after you make this jump, you will have to rebuffer for this pink orb. However, you do not have to rebuffer for this yellow orb once again. You do not have to rebuffer for this yellow orb. I repeat, do not rebuffer this yellow orb. It's a waste of time. You are literally wasting your time by doing that. Because, once again, it's being hit by two different icons. If you even look at the trail, as you can tell, they're being hit by two different icons. So, yeah, don't bother rebuffering for this yellow orb. It's just a waste of time. As for this set here, this set of jumps you could just hold your way through, because you're just going to jump twice here. And then here you'll land on this pink orb, and then you'll just land here. You want to skip this yellow orb. I think it's possible to hit this yellow orb if you time this pink orb in a weird way, but it's really not worth your time. So I would say just skip this yellow orb and just jump into the portal. And as for these two yellow orbs, you do have to hit them separately, or else, yeah, it just doesn't work. You'd have to hit them separately. As for this dual ball, this is probably the most confusing part, like, to be honest with you. Like, I know most people will look at this and are like, what the frick is this? Actually, I take that back. It's probably the dual cube, to be honest. Most people will probably get confused with the dual cube. However, this dual ball can be really... I've seen a lot of people complaining about the end of this dual ball because of the fact that it can be really inconsistent for some people. Like, I know a lot of people, for some reason, can't consistently get over this second saw here, for some reason. And to that, I say it is definitely possible to do this part consistently, and let me show you how. So, first of all, I mean, most people will tell you that this part is pretty consistent. You just hit all the orbs. It is possible to get away with hitting only two of these three. Like, you don't have to hit this final orb. I can actually show you that it is possible. Whoops. Like here, you'll notice it still works, but now my dual is flipped, which in and of itself wouldn't be an issue, but it makes the transition into G-Boy even worse than it already is. So I would not advise doing this, unless you want to make the transition to G-Boy even harder on yourself. Other than that, just hit all the orbs. You're wasting your time if you don't hit this last orb. As for this part, as for the second half, jump off this platform late. Jump off of it late. It's much easier if you just jump off of it late. That way, you will almost always hit. You are much more guaranteed to hit this yellow orb if you just time this jump late, and then buffer this blue orb. And then make sure you just buffer this clip as well. And then just make sure you buffer these two orbs. And in fact, at this point, it really doesn't make much of a difference if you've made it this far into the dual ball. It doesn't really make a difference if you just kind of ignore this top one. It won't make any difference now, if you're able to consistently do the other parts. Like, once you get these orbs, this ball here just becomes irrelevant. So, as for this transition, this is the worst transition in the level by an absolute mile, and everybody will tell you that. there is no real tips I can give other than just find a consistent way to get into the yellow portal. Like for me, I always do one like light click, and then I just fly in. Like I do one click and then I just hold. However, when it comes to the actual ship part, I would say have a plan for which floors and which ceilings you're planning to hit and which ones you're planning to avoid. Like I know for me, like I just hit all of them. Like I land on that platform and then I just land here. However, I know some people prefer to just avoid the walls entirely, and it is possible to do that. Like I think that's what most people do. Is they actually just straight up avoid the walls. However, I found that like really inconsistent because again, ship for me is just awful. Like I'm awful with ship control. And so because of that, I just found it easier for me to just hit every single wall I could because it meant less work for me. However, I know some people will actually see that as an obstruction, like they see the wall as like it'll throw them off, and I totally get that. So just have a plan for which walls you're planning to hit and which ones you're planning to miss. As for this UFO, you're really not going to die to it a whole lot. Okay, get back to it. This UFO is like really easy. It's like similar to Samsar in the sense that if you can't do this UFO, then I don't think you're ready for Supersonic. As for the transition, there are two ways you can do this. The first is just let go and just go down. Don't bother doing, just straight up do it the way of the intuitive way. Just click. However, I know, like me in particular, I absolutely hate doing that way. It feels like there's less room. So instead what I do is I'll do an extra click here, and I'll just be set up in a way that allows me to like go up and then down. I know as for me, I prefer to do a click here. And I know some people prefer to just fall. However, I don't really like doing it that way. So I just do a single click, and then I just continue as normal. As for the part itself, I mean, this is a really straightforward wave section. You're probably not going to die here a whole lot. However, it is worth noting that this is when nerves will really start to kick in. So if you die here because of nerves, it's just entirely possible you could die here purely because of nerves. I know I did, like a few times, I just died here purely because of nerves, and it is possible. And don't underestimate the second half of the level ever, because it is very easy to die because of nerves. Like it's not like this part in and of itself isn't hard. In fact, it's a pretty straightforward wave section. However, it is very easy to die here because of nerves, and I totally understand. Like, I know I died here a few times purely because of it, so. As for Vibrant Ball Maze, that looks like an absolute nightmare when you first see it. You're like, what the frick is this? However, and quite frankly, there's not really much advice I can give you other than just learn it. And in my opinion, that's what really sucks about this part, is the fact that there's no way to learn it other than just force and memorize it. However, I'll go ahead and run through it again, and with hitboxes on, and you can see like which ones are real, and which ones are fake. We'll go through the click pattern for this part in just a second. Now I'll go ahead and show you guys the click pattern. So you go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Hang on. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. There we go. Finally got it. Okay, let's do it again. I'll do it again. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So there's really not much else you can say about it, other than just brute force memorize it, kind of just have to learn how to do it. There's not really much else advice I can give for that part. You could use like hitboxes just to get an idea of what you're actually doing there, but and it would definitely help. You can use hitboxes. You can choose not to. I chose not to, but if you use hitboxes, that's fine. As for this ball, as for this cube maze, honestly, this is probably the biggest. This is probably the last choke point in the entire level, and once again, you're gonna be really nervous when you get here, because as you can see, like these timings are rough. Like you have to time these orbs like really funky. Especially these 3 orbs here, probably the most annoying thing in the entire level, because you do have to time these like really late. However, if you time this, if you click too late here, you'll just straight up miss the orb. And also because of this orb here is also really easy to time really early, and you'll just be sent flying into the block. So you kind of just have to brute force your way through this. As for this ship part, it's not that hard. However, you're going to be shaking in your boots when you get to this. Like, it's not inherently that hard of a part. In fact, it's actually really easy once you know how to do it, unless you suck like me. Like there, like it's a really easy part. It's just the problem is you're gonna be super nervous and it's really easy to choke. Like it's just, I know all 3 of the times I die, like 3 out of the 4 times I died here was because I didn't hold this click long enough to reach this portal. So and then the other time I died here was when I accidentally hit the clicked too hard after entering this portal, and I just got sent flying into one of these saws here. I forget which one exactly. But it's really easy to die here because of nerves. And I would say because of that, regardless of whether you're good at ship or not, get a click pattern for this part. This part is going to be nerve-wracking when you get to it, and because of that, I would say get a click pattern. I don't care if you're good at ship or not, get a click pattern for this part. It'll be very useful, and it'll save you a lot of unnecessary death at this part. As for me, I go 1, hold, hang on, go 1, hold, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, hold. That's not exactly what I did, hang on. 1, hold, 1, 1, hold, 1, 1, 1, hold, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, and then just one last click to make sure you don't get sent flying into the spikes up there. And also, you have to make sure you don't hold too long here, because obviously you can send, either you'll get sent flying into the set of saws here, or you'll enter this portal the wrong way and you just straight up won't be able to recover from it. So, I think that was probably why I died. It was just because I thought I was gonna hold too long, and yeah. So, other than that though, there's not really much advice I can give for this part. Just get a click pattern for it, regardless of whether ship is your regardless of whether ship is your skill set or not. Just get a click pattern for it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really have any other advice I can give with the level itself. However, if there's one advice I can give in terms of just practicing levels in general, when it comes to levels like this, I mean, I get the feeling that probably Supersonic isn't going to be your first Insane Demon. However, for some people, like me, it was my first Insane Demon, and this is where the point where runs to 100 really start to matter. Like, I know when I beat Deadly Clubstep, there were a couple times when I would do, like, a pretty good run to 100, like, from pretty early on in the level, like, I did, like probably, like, 40-something, 30-something to 100, but I only did that, like, a couple times because I just didn't need it. Like, I just didn't need it all that much. However, in the case of Insane Demons, it is crucial that you do runs to 100 from early on in the level. And obviously not too early on in the level, or else you're just straight up wasting attempts. That could be from 0. However, I do remember the farthest run I ever got was from 22 to 100, and even then I really didn't need to do 22 to 100. However, one I really thought was necessary for me at least was 33, was 36 to 100, and the reason being, everything before this is not that hard. It wasn't that hard for me. However, you get to Data Pro and it just starts, that's in my opinion where the difficulty starts to really significantly ramp up. And because of that, I thought it was necessary to do this part right here to 100. And it helps a lot when you can do this part to 100. And I would say this is where like Insane Demons are really where it starts to become important for you to do runs to 100. And I know, like, again, when I was doing hard demons, I didn't need to do this. Like, even for, like, Jawbreaker and Thermodynamics, I didn't need to do these crazy runs to 100, simply because of the fact that the difficulty didn't get up that high. However, when you get to an Insane Demon, the difficulty becomes so high that the nerves become more exponential the farther you get into the level. And because of that, I would say, at this point, it really starts to matter what runs you're doing. If you're not doing good enough runs to 100, you are literally putting yourself at a disadvantage that you would otherwise not have. So, with that said, that's about all the advice I can give. Good luck to anyone who's currently trying to beat this. This is your first Insane Demon. I wish you a special good luck to trying to beat your first Insane Demon. I hope you enjoyed this little tips and tricks tutorial video for Supersonic. If you want to see more content like this, go ahead and hit that sub button. That'll mean a lot. And if you really enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.